Good evening, everyone, and welcome here inside the Sugarman Sports Complex in Fort Lee, New Jersey, the setting for tonight's Big North American Division boys soccer match, featuring the visiting Dwight Morrow Maroon Raiders and the Fort Lee Bridgemen. Dwight Morrow comes into today's action 3-5 overall in the season and 2-3 in divisional play, while Fort Lee is 5-1 on the year and 3-1 in the division, tied with Cliffside Park for first place in the Big North American. So if they have any hopes of maintaining their spot atop the league rankings, Fort Lee's got to be trying to get a result here tonight against the Dwight Morrow side that defeated them earlier this season 2-1 in Englewood back on September 12th. Fort Lee has come into tonight's game having won their last two games, defeating Ridgefield 2-1 most recently in the Bergen County Invitational Tournament. So now here's a chance for Fort Lee to try to get their first win against Dwight Morrow here at home since 2020. They've been able to knock off Dwight Morrow on the road, just have not been able to defend their home turf. But again, they're looking for a big result here tonight. They got to find a way to knock off their visitors. Fort Lee donning their pink uniforms here today as we are in the month of October and thus in support of breast cancer awareness. So pink is the color tonight for the Bridgemen. That shot from distance whistles wide. Again, it was a 2-1 victory for Dwight Morrow back on September 12th. That was the first loss of the season for the Bridgemen. Fort Lee, again, in our last broadcast, they had their win of the season, defeating previously unbeaten Cliffside Park 2-1. Some contact, and it looks like it's going to be a foul against Michael Conta of Fort Lee, so it's going to be a free kick upcoming now for the white-clad visitors from Dwight Morrow. Grayish, silverish type of tops and gray shorts. Lining this one up will be Charles King, number 4. King with the set piece. Curling offering will be handled easily that time. And Fort Lee will make the first stop of the game, less than 2 minutes fully into this contest. Dan Long, Dimitri Nanis, Kelly Lane, so glad that he could join us here on our Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel, your broadcast home for Bridgeman Athletics throughout the fall, winter, and spring sports seasons. Under the lights here this evening, about 63 degrees at the opening whistle to start off the first half of play. A comfortable evening still, not feeling too cold just yet as we're getting into close to the midway portion of the month of October. And that's going to be a whistle on that far sideline, as this will be possession and free kick upcoming for the Bridgemen. As we're getting closer and closer to the playoff cutoff time, that now means that this is an important juncture in the season for the Bridgemen. Coming into play today, they would occupy a playoff spot in North 1 Group 3, but it would be the 16th and final seed that you could possibly garner. So they know that they don't have that much room to maneuver. If they want to have a chance at playing some postseason soccer, they have to keep on piling up the wins, and a win here tonight would do just that. Again, Fort Lee right now, if the playoffs started today, would be the last team in the field, the 16th seed in North 1 Group 3 that has the likes of powerhouses Ramapo, Mount Olive, and Oltapan, just to name a few. So not only would this help Fort Lee to maintain their spot tied for atop the league division standings, but also give them some much valuable power points as well. As that's headed out of play to the near sideline will be a throw-in for Dwight Morrow. And the same could be said for Dwight Morrow and the Maroon Raiders. They're 3-5 in the season. They're going to be trying to pick up the pace for themselves and assure themselves a big win and get some valuable power points in the same way, as they play it back over now to the near side. Del Fattah now getting it back to his feet. Najid Abdel Nafatah. Shot from distance. And that'll go out for a goal kick. Max Kurtumov, 0 in the gray outfit, is handling the goalkeeping duties for the Bridgemen. As that is airmailed out of bounds to the near side. So Fort Lee has not really been able to do all that much offensively. They've been having to play a lot defensive soccer so far. Samuel Choi will send it off for the Bridgemen, trying to go long this time. First time that we're really having that go into the offensive end for Fort Lee, trying to track it down inside the defensive box, but good footwork there by Dwight Morrow to get it clear out of harm's way. Nearly a collision ensuing. Now it's the breakout the other way for the Maroon Raiders. Coming up on 5 minutes gone by here to scoreless first half. Thanks for joining us for Fort Lee Boys Soccer. There's a head-in attempt from the far side, but racing back just in time to procure it out of midair is Fort Lee. Fort Lee just struggling again to get it past midfield and out of its own defensive end. Dwight Morrow has been aggressive from the early goings of this contest, and they've just been putting on and administering that full field pressure. Nice dribbling display, low lining kick, well off the mark though. So after settling it down with a volley out of midair, the shot was not up to snuff, and that is going to lead to a goal kick. That was Andrew Ordonez, number 15, who had that shot opportunity go well wide to the far post. Played to the near side and out of bounds. Finally trying to get a touch of it was Marcus Lee, number 11. That goes out of bounds and will be now a throw-in here for the Bridgemen. Kenta Watanabe, number 3, was trying to throw it long down the near side. Last touch out of bounds off of Fort Lee, so it'll be a throw-in instead deep in the defensive third for Dwight Morrow. Trying to steal that one away was Landon Kaplan. Kaplan with 2 goals, 2 assists on the season, a sophomore. Has a promising career ahead of him. Little miscommunication there as Kaplan thought that his teammate was going to be making the run down the near side flank. Instead, it just goes harmlessly out of bounds for the goal kick. Near side throw in now for Dwight Morrow. Marlon Castro in goal on the other side for Dwight Morrow. Castro only a sophomore. 26 saves on the season. Lee trying to fight for possession, saves it before it was going out of bounds by the near corner flag. And it's going to be a corner earned by Fort Lee. So good hustle in the fight for the 50-50 ball just in the inner portion of the defensive box to the near side post side. But Fort Lee did a good job of not only tracking it down by the corner flag, but then having it deflect last touch out of bounds. Bridgemen take a quick corner. Taking it along the near side, deflected in front, it's loose in front. Backheeled attempt and just wide on the far post side. So Fort Lee trying to catch Dwight Morrow sleeping a bit. They took the quick corner, took it down the near side, passed it on a low liner. It kind of pinballed off a couple of players in front, and Fort Lee nearly had a dazzling backheel kick-in goal that just went wide of the mark to the far post. So now some serious signs of offensive life for Coach Demba Main's side. Demba in his 12th season and his alma mater led Fort Lee to county and state playoff wins a couple of seasons ago in the 2021 season. trying to get his team now above 500 on the season with a win here tonight. 5-5-1. Now it's a foul called against Dwight Morrow. This will be a dangerous free kick opportunity here for the Bridgemen after Kaplan was taken down to the turf. So Fort Lee trying to prepare here and get ready. Dwight Morrow setting up a four-man wall in front, just inside the 10-yard line. Going to goal, but that time it sails up and over the crossbar and through the football uprights here at the Sugarman Sports Complex as that goes out for a goal kick. Fort Lee a two-game win streak. They defeated Dumont on the road 2-1, and then they won in identical score and fashion 2-1 against Ridgefield, their last game on October 5th. Stolen away, now trying to play it upwards. Castro will go out to collect it back at his own defensive end. So 10 minutes into the start of the game, we've seen the ebb and flow of this one. It was all Dwight Morrow offensively in the first 5 minutes. In the last 5 minutes, it's been all Fort Lee taking control. Curling angled ball to the far side. Dwight Morrow trying to run it down just before that end line. And they will at least earn themselves a corner kick. So Fort Lee did a good job of racing back, recovering on defense, but they had to clear it away and out of harm's way. And this surrenders a corner kick. Dwight Morrow's service into the box. But there was a whistle sounding as there was a foul inside against Dwight Morrow, so it would not have counted even if they connected on a shot opportunity. Foul sets up a free kick here for Fort Lee. 3-2-1 here at home this season, 2-3 away. Last season, both teams split their meetings because Fort Lee won by a forfeit on October 22nd, 2022. They had played previously one game here. And Dwight Morrow had struck just when it looked like it was about to be a tie. They scored in the last minute of overtime to break the hearts of Fort Lee last season. Fort Lee getting a flick on it as Marcus Lee tried to get it and then turn, but Castro collects. Bridgman trying to play it wide now to the far side. But that goes out of bounds. Will be a throw-in upcoming now for Dwight Morrow. Long ball. Got behind the back line. Fort Lee trying to track it down themselves, but they can't cleanly get it with their keeper. That'll go out of play. I'm going to say it did not get touched, though, by the keeper, and that will allow a goal kick. Dwight Morrow is coming into this game after a 5-1 victory in their last time out on October 5th against Teaneck. That snapped a 3-game losing streak. They had lost to Riverdale, then a high-scoring affair, 7-6 against Hackensack in the first round of the Bergen County Cup. And then they just lost to Ridgefield Park in a league match recently. Coming down the near flank wide, now trying a centering ball. Good anticipation in the back line by Fort Lee. That was Ordonez who was trying to deliver the service from the near wing side. Now Fort Lee trying to get to it, as that's Kato Shinoda, donning number 20 in his uniform, even though he normally wears number 10 with the defender falling. This is going to give an opportunity here for the rundown down the near side. Daniel Lee just couldn't get to it in time. Good recovery defense by Dwight Morrow. as the Maroon Raiders possess in the middle of the field. Sondre Palmer Jr. was the one who was orchestrating that passing. Miss hit off of the head of Watanabe. Out of bounds to the near side it goes. So the visitors will have the throw-in. So we're closing in on 15 minutes gone by here in a scoreless first half of play. Under the lights on a comfortable evening here in October. Now turn and fire. Good dangerous strike opportunity there for Dwight Morrow. They didn't need all that much time to set, turn around, and fire in the top edges of the offensive box. That was Esteban Rojas, the freshman. Number 6, who had that fall down to him. He just turned and fired, and again, didn't miss by much as he was roofing that one, trying to aim for the upper 90. Fort Lee trying to administer a little pressure on the back line. As it comes over to the near side. Abdel Fattah gets that one knocked away from him. Throw-in upcoming now in the offensive third for Fort Lee. Naoki Dartley. Centering ball, but nobody was there for Fort Lee. Did a good job of maneuvering in tight quarters, but again, no one made the run-off ball. Now Dwight Morrow trying to spread the field to the far side, but Michael Conta doing an exceptional job of shadowing his man. Good feed over to the near side. Now a little more spacing in the field. Dwight Morrow getting some opportunities. Fort Lee has to do a good job still of playing their shape on defense. Little contact, but we play on. No foul whistled. Shot from deep, that trickles and in and off the hands of the keeper and into the back of the net. And just like that, Dwight Morrow pays themselves off with their constant pressure with the first lead of the ball game. That's one that the keeper for Fort Lee is going to want back. Went right through his hands into the back of the net. And a 1-0 lead right now with 23:52 left to go in the first half. That adds some serious velocity on it, even though it was coming from distance. Now Fort Lee has to rally from a 1-goal deficit. As that's knocked out of play, last touch off of the Bridgeman. So Dwight Morrow takes the lead. To the delight of their head coach, Daniel Haneo. They put on the pressure in the opening stages of this game, then withstood the assaults produced by Fort Lee, but then that hard and low shot from outside, that's what bedeviled the Fort Lee keeper. Couldn't get the clean stop in front of him, went through his hands and into the back of the net for a 1-0 lead. Taken over now to the near side. Abdel Fattah has sent it into the midfield. Palmer Jr. now splitting wide to the far side. Fort Lee intercepts. Chipped ahead to the far side. In the last game that we broadcast here, when they took down Cliffside Park 2-1, Fort Lee never trailed in that one. They jumped out to a 1-0 lead that they enjoyed at the break. Cliffside Park came back to tie it up at 1-1. But then Fort Lee once again had the answer late in regulation to come away with a 2-1 victory. Now they're going to be forced to have to find that equalizing goal before having any thoughts of possibly producing the go-ahead goal. They'll have an opportunity here with a set piece. Taken on the far sideline of the field. Closing in on 22 minutes left to go in the first half. Again, Dwight Morrow just struck no less than 5 minutes ago to take their first lead of the game at 1-0. Curling delivery, trying to find a header on it, but it was knocked away by Dwight Morrow. So it's interesting in just looking at the results. Dwight Morrow was swept already in this season by Ridgefield Park. Ridgefield Park has had their number, but Dwight Morrow has had Fort Lee's number in the last couple of seasons. It's all about matchups. Here's a shot from distance, and there's the matchup that goes the liking of Fort Lee. Getting it at the feet of Shinoda. And Shinoda fired from deep, hit into the top right corner. And Fort Lee has drawn the equalizer less than 5 minutes behind the Dwight Morrow goal. We have a goal now for the Bridgemen with 21:47 left to go in the first half. So things have opened up quite nicely here under the lights on this Tuesday night. That's going to be uplifting also for Fort Lee keeper. Big sigh of relief saying, hey, it's a brand new game now. I'm not letting my team down after giving up that soft goal. They've picked him up, and now the offense has arrived, and now they're bringing some more pressure here. They draw another foul against Dwight Morrow. It'll be another set-piece opportunity here for the Bridgemen. Chance now for Fort Lee to possibly take their first lead of the game. Teeing this up from the 35-yard line. Here's a header attempt, but that goes wide of the mark to the far side. So again, not 100% sure because these are different uniforms than what Fort Lee normally dons. But I believe that today, because there was no number 20 in the normal roster, I believe that number 20, the goal scorer, was Kato Shinoda. And if that is, in fact, Shinoda, that is his third goal of the season to go along with 4 assists. He's got 10 points, which is the number 1 mark on this team. He had an assist in the last win, a 2-1 finish against Ridgefield. Now it is a 1-1 game as we're reaching the midway point of the first half. Deflected out of bounds to the far sideline. Last touch off of Dwight Morrow. So a good response and an immediate response at that. Again, after what could have been a deflating goal of sorts for the Bridgemen, they did not feel sorry for themselves at all. They quickly went to work on offense, produced a couple of opportunities off set pieces, and then on that last march up the field, they had an opportunity, and they did not squander that chance. A 1-1 game, and drop kicked right back to midfield. Dwight Morrow searching. Abdel Fattah getting it over now to the near side. Ivan Mayato. Played backwards. Palmer Jr. had sent that one. Misplay in the back line briefly by Fort Lee. Watanabe was trying to use his head to then play that ball forward, but he whiffed on it. That got behind him, and now he surrenders the corner. So Dwight Morrow with a chance here with the set-piece corner on the near corner flag to possibly retake the lead here. 18:39 and counting left to go before halftime. 1-1 the score in this crucial Big North American Soccer Division game. Fort Lee with a win would stay in first place no matter what transpired with Cliffside Park. And also, more importantly, for Fort Lee, they need wins because they need power points. And if they want to stay in that playoff grouping right now, which they would be in with North 1 Group 3, they need to have results, especially at home. So the corner went from the near side now to the far side corner flag. That one is delivered out of harm's way. Shinoda could not clear it all the way that he wanted. Deflected off of Fort Lee last. Will be a quick restart here with a throw-in for Dwight Morrow. Gonna have to be careful of potential handball. Played again and knocked down here in the midfield by Fort Lee. Nice movement there. Shifty play by Kaplan. Sending Marcus Lee wide to the far side. Trying to get past that last defender. Can he dribble through him? He can't, and Dwight Morrow will track down the possession. Now they go wide with it down the near side. That's deflected up high. Good job of shifting gears over to the near side. That was Nicholas Garzon, number 10. But then an ensuing frustration foul against Dwight Morrow after they lost possession. Fort Lee takes the quick restart. Long ball headed forward from the back line of Dwight Morrow. Konsa trying to shield off his defender as Choi just skies that one into the Bergen County Knight. Knocked down. Kaplan was trying to free up Daniel Lee down the near side. Both players jockeying for position on that far sideline, and eventually it goes out of bounds. Last touch off of Fort Lee. So will be a throw-in now for Dwight Morrow deep in their defensive third. Headed down right at midfield, but Lee couldn't corral it entirely in front of himself. It allows Dwight Morrow to have a player race in to steal back possession. Fort Lee again in the pink with the black shorts, and Dwight Morrow in the white and gray. Playing it wide now to the far side. Dwight Morrow looking for a little more spacing again. Their lone goal was one from well outside, taken from around the 25-yard line, and still managed to squeak by and through the hands of the Fort Lee goalie. Fort Lee responded immediately, though. Less than 5 minutes later, Shinoda had a blistering shot that just hit into the top upper portion of the net. No chance for Castro, the keeper, to make a save, and that drew this game level at 1-1. Now it's going to be another foul whistled against Dwight Morrow, and we're stopping the clock here. This means this might be issuance of a yellow card, and it is. So yellow card has been shown to Andrew Ordonez, number 15, the sophomore. So he'll have to check off the field for the time being with 14:29 left to go in a 1-1 first half. Over to the near side it goes. Stolen away by Watanabe. Shinoda was trying to do a beautiful spin move while dribbling. Outlet finds him in the midfield. He's the maestro of this offense, trying to link up down the near side with Daniel Lee. Ball was a little behind him, though. Play down the near side. Dwight Morrow with a nice link up in the middle of the field. Knocked down momentarily there. Tommy Geppergue come into the match. Number 15 in pink for Fort Lee did a good job of filling that lane. Under 13 and a half minutes now left to go in the first half. 1-1 your score. Dan Long, Dimitri Nanis, and Kelly Lane with you here, courtesy of the Fort Lee Athletic Department's YouTube channel. Down to the near side. Blockered away by Watanabe. Pop forward, and it's a little bit more possession right now in the course of this game by Dwight Morrow. That's a misplay once again by the back line of Fort Lee. They headed it, but headed it backwards. It actually was going right to the feet of a striking player. Fort Lee able to manufacture a little result there. Looked like it was a dangerous gaffe as Choi accidentally had it headed backwards right to the advancing player that was trying to streak down the near side. But Fort Lee covered up their mistake and quickly got it out of their own defensive end. As subs being made. Fort Lee's got to be careful here. Dwight Morrow continuing to put that pressure on the back line, trying to make Fort Lee make some mistakes. Play into the near side, but the pass just a little too long. Some contact as we play on. Dwight Morrow's player went down to the turf, but the referee deems that it was not a foul against Fort Lee. That's chipped out of bounds to the far side, will be resulting throw-in for the visitors. Out of bounds to the far side, and another Dwight Morrow player falling down to the dismay of the Dwight Morrow fans that have assembled here at the Sugarman Sports Complex. It does draw a free kick opportunity here for the Maroon Raiders on the far side of the field. See how they handle this set piece, passing it to the upper edges of the box, but Fort Lee's defense able just to knock that away. Dwight Morrow again, they're doing a little bit of flopping here the last couple of times. That goes out of bounds to the near side. Again, any sliver of contact, and Dwight Morrow has been flopping like they're going into a swimming pool on a hot summer day. The far side now, centering ball, nobody lurking from there for Fort Lee as that's played out wide. It'll be a resulting throw-in now for the Bridgemen. Again, Fort Lee has never led in this game as we come up on the final 10 minutes of the first half. They trailed 1-0, but then had an immediate response. Less than 5 minutes later, Fort Lee generated the equalizer. Kato Shinoda scoring a beauty of a goal in the upper 90, the upper right-hand corner of the net, to deadlock this game at 1-1. And Dwight Morrow won the initial meeting in Englewood back on September 12th. And what was their season opener for Fort Lee was game number 2. They won 2-1. There's a foul against Fort Lee. We'll set up the free kick here. Taken quickly by Dwight Morrow to the near side. Played backwards and out of play. Dwight Morrow with the throw-in. Headed down to the near side. Fort Lee trying to use that speed down the near side. Dwight Morrow doing a good job of tracking back on the ball, shielding off the advance, and allowing that to slowly meander its way out of bounds for an ensuing goal kick. Marcus Lee, number 11, had tried his darndest to use that speed to force the back line into a mistake, but credit to the play of Dwight Morrow. They were not going to be committing any sorts of problems there. Watanabe down the near side. Conta trying to get to it for Fort Lee. Taken back to the midfield. Apollo Abarasin, number 23. He's the man who had the service from midfield. He also did a great job on the other side of the field defensively for Dwight Morrow, when it looked like Lee was going to be trying to get underneath that possession just before the goal mouth. 7:20 and counting left to go here in the first half. It's been an excitingly played first half of action between these two league rivals. For the near side, Vagapov did a good job of getting it to his teammate Kaplan. Kaplan trying to free his teammate now to the far side. Again, it's been physical out there, but it's been physical but clean. The officials letting them play, but nobody really taking any opportunity to be overly physical and getting away with what are clearly fouls. More boxing out, more positional physicality on display. Gonta trying to track back that possession and does a great job. Again, Garzon was the man who was trying to track it down, and now the whistle sounds against Dwight Morrow. Free kick upcoming here for Fort Lee, as we're closing in on the final 6 minutes and change of the first half. Conta has that one deflect out of bounds, though. Last touch off of Dwight Morrow. Kick forward, nice back heel kick. Creative move there for Fort Lee. Looked like it was Dartley who had that back heel after he was going back and forth with Vagapov. Played over to the far side. So our corrections, Illis Alkin, the sophomore, is the starter in goal for Fort Lee today. He settled down nicely after allowing that first one to get by him. Defensively, his back line has been solid in front of him. Stolen away by Dwight Morrow with under 5 minutes left to go. They try the breakout here. Fort Lee does a good job of hustling back to it and nearly plunking Dimitri Nanis, our intrepid producer, to the left side of me here in the press box. That ball was well offline. I know they wanted to clear it out of harm's way, but let's not get at Dimitri here, folks. As it's going to be a foul in the play, whistled, as that'll send possession in the free kick back over to the Bridgemen. Fort Lee taking it away with Dartley. Now taken to the near side. The 3.5 minutes left to go until halftime. Dwight Morrow has been pushing the pace a little bit more here in the last couple of minutes. Dartley steals it away for Fort Lee as the Bridgeman going wide. Again, Fort Lee has yet to take a lead in this contest. The whistle sounds, and it looks like it's going to be a shove call with the foul going against the home side. So a free kick with under 3 minutes left to go in the half here for Dwight Morrow. Stolen away in the midfield. Now propelled forward by Shinoda. Offside the call against Dwight Morrow as they were trying to slink behind that back line. Dwight Morrow looking for what would be their fourth win of the season. Fort Lee trying to close in on win number 6. And a win that would move them above 500 on the season. They are 5-5-1 after having defeated their last 2 opponents to get to 5-5-1 on the season. Konta over to the near side, was trying to link up with Vagapov. A little pushing and shoving, and now that is going to be called by the officials in the near side to the delight of the opposing fans from Dwight Morrow. 90 seconds left to go until halftime. Long ball offering, laying off that one was Alkin. That'll go out for a goal kick now. Alcon again has bounced back after allowing that first goal of the game to Dwight Morrow from about 25 yards out. He got a piece of it with his hands, but it just trickled through. What was great to see was the teamwork and the leadership. Some of the Fort Lee players, the field players, coming back to console their goalie, who was distraught that he let that one by him. They picked him up immediately when Shinoda scored a beautiful goal from distance himself. That leveled the score at 1-1. Under 20 seconds now left to go in the first half. Played close to midfield, knocked down. Kaplan trying to find some space for Dartley. Dartley trying to track it down. Castro not taking any chances. Will venture out around the 10-yard line and just run out the remaining seconds of the first half. So the first 40 minutes in the books. 1-1 your score. Dwight Morrow struck first. Fort Lee with the response. And we are level headed into halftime. Stick around as we'll be back for the start of the second half of play as you're watching Fort Lee boys soccer action here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Welcome back, everybody, here to the Sugarman Sports Complex as we're moments away from the resumption of play at the start of the second half. Fort Lee and Dwight Morrow level at 1-1 your score. Kaito Shinoda was the goal scorer for Fort Lee after Dwight Morrow took the initial lead at 1-0 less than 5 minutes before Fort Lee's goal near the midway point of the first half. Both teams have had their opportunities. Elias Alkin has done a nice job since surrendering that opening goal that was from far out, but he got a piece of it with his hands. Just didn't block it enough in front of him, and it trickled past him. Since that point, he's been solid. Also, the defense for Fort Lee has been rock solid in the back line. A result here today would be huge for Fort Lee's playoff chances in the state playoff. As I mentioned, power points becoming a factor here as we're closing in closer and closer, a couple weeks away from the playoff cutoff time. Fort Lee right now, if the playoffs started today, would be the final team in North 1 Group 3's field. Top 16 teams qualify for the postseason. Late into the midfield, Shinoda. Low-lining ball off to the near side, trying to find Ben Kang. Kang tracks down the possession to the near side. Might have been inadvertently hit in the mouth as well. Lee trying to step up and pressure. On the back heel, it's taken away once again by Fort Lee. Kaplan doing a good job of winning back possession. Shinoda giving it to Kaplan. Kaplan gets a shot deflected from distance, and Castro on one jump will settle down his defense and collect that loose ball. So the first 90 seconds, a nice start to the second half for Fort Lee. 5-1 on the season, taking on Dwight Morrow, 3-5 on the year. Fort Lee buries that one out of bounds to the far side and just out of play. Again, Fort Lee's last home win against Dwight Morrow, you have to go all the way back to October 6, 2020, when the Bridgemen won here at home 3-2. They've been able in that same period of time to beat Dwight Morrow in Englewood, but not here. Just the quirks of this recent rivalry between these two sides. Alkin will drop this one away. Fort Lee donning their breast cancer awareness pink uniforms here tonight. Dwight Morrow in the road white. Little miscommunication there as it rolls harmlessly out of bounds to the far side. And Demma Main will make a quick substitution. Misplay in the back line. Here's an opportunity for Dwight Morrow with the left foot deflected. Alkin almost overran it too. He is fortunate. Kanta, his defender in front of him, was trying to shield off that oncoming offensive player. And that's drop kicked away. Played over to the near side to Grant Kang. Good centering ball, Shinoda. Over to Kaplan, but Kaplan's pass just a little too long. Good defensive work at that point by Abdel Fattah, and now that's jettisoned well wide of the mark, out of bounds for a goal kick. Fort Lee averaging 1.5 goals per game this season, while giving up 1.7. Taken over to the near side and out of bounds. Last touch off of Dwight Morrow. 4 minutes into the start of the second half. We're still level at 1-1. Fort Lee with one tie this season. That was a scoreless draw against Nutley here at home back on September 16th. Stolen away. Gepricu. Alkin soaring that one close to the midfield. Dwight Morrow heading it back forward. Collision ensues, and after the sandwich collided between a couple of players in pink and one in white. It's going to be a free kick now upcoming, and a little pushing and shoving going on between a couple of players behind the scenes. This is a rivalry. This is a league matchup. This with a lot on the line, too. So you're going to see some physicality and some frustration setting in as well. Kang is right now going toe-to-toe defensively. A player that he has been going back and forth with a bit. Free kick opportunity here for Dwight Morrow to retake the lead. Never had a chance. Just hooked that one deep to the left, and that'll go out of bounds for a goal kick. Missed opportunity there for number 4, Charles King. King the junior. Couldn't accurately get that shot on target. Played along the near side as Kang has that one go out of bounds off him last. That's Lucas Ladano, who was the man that Kang was going at it with a bit before that last set piece. Settled down to the far side by Palmer Jr. Stepping up, good dispossession here for Fort Lee. They've got the chance on the counter. Aggressive defensive work, just shy of midfield by Dwight Morrow to win back the possession. Fort Lee trying to jockey for position and possession, and they do both. Kang getting pushed around a little bit to the near side, then a late whistle, and it's going to be a whistle against Dwight Morrow. So the quick restart here for the Bridgemen. They can't take full advantage. Kaplan trying to win back the possession, but dizzying with his possession is Palmer Jr. Number 14 in white did a great job of just weaving around and just playing a game of gotcha with Kaplan. Fort Lee stepping up, bringing it into the offensive end. Dartley was trying to get a flick of it. Instead it went wide to the far side. Now the pace of play is quickened. Palmer Jr. feeding over to the near side. That goes out of play to the near side. In front of the corner flag, it will be a throw-in deep in the offensive third for Dwight Morrow. That is headed out of bounds, though, by Samuel Choi. So he gives up the corner kick here. Didn't want to take any chances after that went off his head and out of bounds in the offensive box. So a chance here for another set piece for Dwight Morrow, looking for their second lead of the game. And that's a beautiful attempt. It trickles and it's saved. Alcan with his best save of the game. Coming off a 4-save performance against Ridgefield, he was brilliant here in the win against Cliffside Park. The sophomore registered 8 saves that night, and that was his best save off of the corner. And as it was kicked as a volley, he had to range over to that far post side to prevent that from being a one-timer finish. Alcan also had a season-high 12 saves in a game earlier this season against Tenafly. So the sophomore brimming with confidence after again allowing that cheap goal to begin the game. Played to the far side, again mishit. Fort Lee's defense has had their troubles here tonight. They've had a couple of deflections off their feet and off their heads that's actually led to more trouble going backwards in their defensive end rather than even having it deflect sideways out of bounds. Dwight Morrow was going on a late burst and run. Fort Lee stopped defending And they are fortunate that that player did not just get underneath it with his blazing speed and just head it home. It remains a 1-1 game as we're coming up on 10 minutes gone by here in the second half. Out of bounds it goes to the far side. Played to the near side. Again, closing in a couple of advancing players for Dwight Morrow. Alcan doing a good job of just getting to that in time, using his hands and cutting down on that angle. Wortley love to get an opportunity here to possess a little longer on offense. King playing it to the midfield. Nice turnover force in the midfield by Fort Lee, but Dwight Morrow takes it right back. After an initial start to the second half, the first 90 seconds were all Fort Lee, and they were generating offensive possession time. It's been Dwight Morrow, the team that's been collecting all the time at the offensive end of the field. Miss hit a bit. As Fort Lee was trying to track that one down on the far side. And Dwight Morrow using that speed on the outer perimeter. Deflected out of bounds. And it should be a corner kick upcoming here for Dwight Morrow. They nearly scored in their last corner. That time the delivery came from the near side flag. This time the corner is going to be taken on the far side. Again, Alcan had to make a diving save to the far post side to deny Dwight Morrow the go-ahead goal last time. Driven in front, headed straight up, not out of harm's way just yet. Turnaround fire. That was deflected before it could get on target. Fort Lee doing a good job of possessing in terms of popping it up. Conta trying to play it forward. As that goes wide to the far side. Down that far side, good tackle and exchange there. As Dwight Morrow getting a little physical, knocking the possession away, and some changes being made from both sides. Just under 27 minutes left to go in regulation here in the second half. It's a 1-1 score. Deflected, last touch out of bounds off of Fort Lee. And number 16, Luis Rodriguez, the junior. And a foul and a whistle against Dwight Morrow. And the referee exchanging a couple words as well, maybe a final warning. It's a Sondre Palmer Jr., number 14. The junior midfielder getting physical there a couple of times. Next time might draw a yellow card. So a set piece upcoming from just inside the 25-yard line for the Bridgemen. They try to go the short route, but their pass was off the mark. Again, they were trying to play a little deception game there, as everybody was waiting for maybe an aerial assault. Instead, they kept the ball on the ground, and pass was a little too fast. Dwight Morrow getting to it with their speed. Trying to fill the lane over to the near side, just went out of the grasp of the intending cutting player. Stolen away again. King had his jersey tugged on from behind, and it's going to be possession upcoming here for Dwight Morrow. They're going to just simply call that a foul. Probably should have been worthy of a card given to Fort Lee after that was a clear tugging of the jersey. As number 4, Charles King, the junior, was coming from the defensive end into the offensive end of the field. Fort Lee fortunate there not to pick up the card. Pin balls around to the top of the box, and again, no opportunity for the offense. Low pass and exit out of the zone is knocked down. Now played up top, here's Marcus Lee. Trying to connect with Shinoda, was filling a lane, but couldn't get to him. Conta knocked off the ball. Here's Palmer Jr. Passing over to the near side. Build up inside the box. Turnaround shot attempt. Blockered away. And now the whistle is going to be a foul against Dwight Morrow, as it was a little reckless the way that they were trying to get to the other end of that and actually were trying to go through a defender. So the foul is whistled against the Maroon Raiders. Free kick upcoming now for Fort Lee with under 24 minutes left to go. We're closing in on the midway point of the second half. It remains the same 1-1 score that we had at halftime. Trying to get it back to Conta as he parlays that one forward. Whistle and a throw in now here for Fort Lee, right in front of Coach Demba Main and his sideline. Good thievery here by Fort Lee. Can they get the shot off? They can't. Just on the outer edges of the top of the box. Nice centering ball. Again, another good build-up here for the offense. But Fort Lee needs to get some shots off. Good defensive work there by Palmer Jr. He did a little of everything. He deflected a couple of shot and pass opportunities and eventually came away with possession. Now Dwight Morrow attacking to the wide side. They have a build-up. That one is blockered away. Good scoring opportunity for Dwight Morrow. Fort Lee did a good job of dispossessing, and now it's going to be a foul whistled against the Bridgeman. And having an opportunity now for a dangerous set piece for Dwight Morrow. With 22:35 and counting left to go here in the second half. Another set piece opportunity for the visitors, who have gotten so close to taking back the lead on a couple of these set piece chances. Looks like it's going to be Charles King who's going to be over the ball. King faking like he was going to take care of it. There's a shot that ricochets off the crossbar. Dwight Morrow inches away from what would have been a sensational second goal of this game. Again, off the set piece, and another one that would have been from distance against Fort Lee. That one ricocheted and rattled off of the crossbar. So this game remains tied at 1-1. Fort Lee has to be aware of that. Unlimited range so far here tonight for Dwight Morrow. Their one goal was from distance as well. Alcan will slow it down as he gradually will take to it here with the drop kick. The sophomore sending it skywards. Played along the midfield, as King will now play it up top. Fort Lee trying to get a little more aggressive in the midfield, but Conta was once again called for the foul. He looks over to the far side official protesting. As again, we're coming up on the midway point of the second half. 1-1 your score. All two goals coming in the first half in a matter of about a 5-minute span in between goals. By Morrow trying to track it down inside the defensive box, but Fort Lee ventures out of their own zone. Down the near side and knocked out of play will be a resulting throw-in here for Dwight Morrow. Trying to quickly take it. Center and ball is a dangerous one, but it goes all the way to the far side. No in-cutting player. Fort Lee playing a lot on defense here right now in the second half. They desperately need some possession in the other side of the field. Again, a beautiful night for soccer here in Fort Lee. Right outside the George Washington Bridge in New York City. Glad you could join us here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel for this American Division Boys Soccer Showdown. Fort Lee with a win here would stay guaranteed in first place. Where they would be, if it would be by themselves or tied still with Cliffside Park, that's dependent on Cliffside Park's game. But at least Fort Lee would assure themselves another day in first. A loss could really hurt their overall playoff picture as well. That's starting to develop. Now a foul is going to be whistled against Shinoda. He was riding on top of Palmer Jr. Free kick going to be handled from just outside the 40-yard line around the 41. Here's Dwight Morrow again sending it in. Having someone on the other end of that offering, and then there's a misplay in front and a header attempt, and that went out of play. There was no whistle, no foul called. Alcan had came off his line, went to go get it. He was kind of rubbing the back of his head as well. I don't know if he was assuming like he was going to get the call from the official that he was contacted when he was going up for the ball, but that is a missed opportunity for Dwight Morrow. That was a play on. That goal would have counted. Last opportunity was by Matthias Abarasin, number 18 in white. He was the one who had the header that just went wide. Dwight Morrow showing off the dazzling footwork as well. Fort Lee winning possession in the midfield. Here's Conta now going wide. Conta, he gets knocked down from behind after he went past one defender. And now it's going to be also a yellow card shown. So the second yellow of the game given to a player from Dwight Morrow. And it looks like player is still down here for Fort Lee in number 14, Michael Conta. So a yellow card went to Dwight Morrow on that play. 18:04 left to go in the second half. It will be a free kick upcoming for Fort Lee on the far side. Hopefully it's just a case of cramps in the legs right now as Conta is being stretched out by the athletic trainer here at Fort Lee and Tom Herr. Just moments ago, Dwight Morrow had a golden opportunity to retake the lead on a header attempt in front of the net after there was contact made with the Fort Lee keeper. They headed that one just wide. They also had one earlier in the second half ring off the crossbar and a beautiful deep set piece opportunity. So Dwight Morrow has had the better of the chances here in the second stanza, but Fort Lee still has an opportunity, despite being outplayed here in the second half, to take their first initial lead of the game upcoming on this set piece. So after this injury delay, again, 18:04 is on the clock here in the second half. Set piece opportunity, one of the rare ones in this second half for Fort Lee. They play it short. Shinoda takes the shot from up top, and he also has that one go through the football uprights and wide of the target. Shinoda accounts for the lone Fort Lee goal of the night. Now a goal kick upcoming for Dwight Morrow. Fort Lee desperately needs to generate a little more offensive possession, give their defense a bit of a break. Dwight Morrow has dominated here in the second half. Fort Lee working with that ball on the far side, but dispossessed just before it was going to go out of bounds. Fort Lee winning it back on the outer edges of the box, and again, a nice build up here, gradually possessing the ball and having some opportunities. Be a Fort Lee throw in on the far side of the field. 16:55 and counting left to go here in the second half. Out of bounds it goes. Will be another throw in. That time Vagabov was trying to get ahead on it. Could not play that to a teammate. Dwight Morrow breaking out to the middle of the field. Now down the near side. Good cutting movement. Ladano was trying to link up top. Dwight Morrow trying to get to some shooting space. Good trail defensive work there by Fort Lee. Despite the Dwight Morrow player falling down to the turf, it was deemed to be a clean challenge. Vagabov trying to go 1-2. Couldn't get it back to him, though, on the near side. Knocked down with a foot over the near side as Fort Lee tries to run and track it down to the near side by Grant Kang. Just a little too long for Marcus Lee. Dwight Morrow 2-3 in divisional play. Fort Lee 3-1. Fort Lee tied for first in the division. Dwight Morrow in fourth place out of 5 teams. But they have always been that thorn in the side of Fort Lee in the last couple of seasons. They have had the Bridgman's number. Out of bounds it goes, and a sub coming back onto the field for Demba Maine. That's Michael Conta. Good to see him after he had suffered that injury before. Now push call on the throw-in against Fort Lee, so possession goes right back over to Dwight Morrow. Inside, that's dangerous, and that should be a goal. It is! Dwight Morrow scores off of a set piece. You saw it coming. Fort Lee has had such troubles all night long in defending what should have been a harmless set piece. Instead, it led to a man in front. He headed it in. It went into the upper left-hand corner of the net. Alcan was trying to quickly get it out as if it had hit just the woodwork, but instead it ended up as a goal for the visitors. And Dwight Morrow finally cashes in. They've been the better of the sides in the second half, and now they have a lead to show for it. 2-1 lead, 14:05 left to go here in the second half. Fort Lee trails for the second time in this game. The first time around, they didn't waste any time to draw level. Less than 5 minutes after Dwight Morrow scored their goal, Fort Lee had the equalizer. Now they got to do it again. They got to attack a little bit more. They've been on their heels a bit here in the second half. They're trying to get it to Ben Kang on the near side, and Kang was bodied up on the play. So a header finish for Dwight Morrow has staked the Maroon Raiders out to a 2-1 lead. Now they're looking for more. Alcan was going out the outer vestiges of the box area, and Almost collided with his teammate and almost had an empty net finish. Awaiting Dwight Morrow. Fort Lee taking off the ball. Dwight Morrow playing it wide to the far side. A couple nice defensive plays by Darwin Sanchez in this game, and the referee telling the Dwight Morrow player to get up. They've been diving a little bit here in the second half. Conta then got fouled on the ensuing buildup. And now a yellow card is shown to Dwight Morrow. So Dwight Morrow has had all the yellow cards issued in this game. And is that the second yellow? It is. It looks like a red card has been shown. Looks like a red card was shown to number 5, Darwin Sanchez. So the sophomore, whom I just had been lauding praise on, gets shown the red card, and now Dwight Morrow leading by 1 for the remaining 13:01 of this regulation. Will have to play a man down. Give a little more room to operate here for the offense. Trying to find the equalizer late in regulation. So a red card to Sanchez after yellow card accumulation. That little pushing and shoving on the far side. They're going to say play on and tell Fort Lee's player to get up. He's a little slow to get to his feet. That allows the breakout here for Dwight Morrow. Trying to link up to the near side and trying to race after it. Good hustle on the play by Matias Aberacion. Aberacion playing it over to the near side to Londano. Dwight Morrow trying to go to 4-5 in the season and produce their second win in a row this year. Sweep away Fort Lee in the process. Knocked away. Fort Lee just not able to regain the possession fully, though. A lot of pushing going on now, as we're getting later and later in this game. 11:40 and counting left to go in the second half. 2-1 lead for Dwight Morrow. A big game not only for league standings, but more importantly in state playoff standings. Fort Lee ranking 16th in the North 1 Group 3 Power Points rankings right now entering today. That would qualify them as the last possible entrant into the North 1 Group 3 playoff picture. Top 16 teams make it to the sectional playoffs. Fort Lee needs results. They have another league match coming up. We'll be back here on Thursday night, as Fort Lee is going to be playing host to Ridgefield Park, a team that has defeated Dwight Morrow twice already this season. Just getting the proper time squared away here. So 11:28 is put on the clock. Before we get to this free kick, this is where Dwight Morrow's been so dangerous here all night long on these set pieces. That ball is headed forward by Fort Lee. Can the Bridgemen get to it and cleanly have a breakout? Dwight Morrow playing it right back in, but offside the call. Last offensive player was behind the last defender when the ball was played to him. Dwight Morrow has been so aggressive and all over the field and just stepping up and challenging any opportunity that Fort Lee has had to possess the ball. Anytime that somebody's had it, they look to clear it up the field, there's a man right in their face. That has choked away possession opportunities for Fort Lee. As time is starting to become a serious factor for Demba Maine's side. We'll throw into the near side. Goes all the way back to the keeper. Alcan will now just try to get it to his teammates to get up the field. So we're closing in on the final 10 minutes of the second half. Fort Lee down by 1. Out of bounds it goes. Stolen away. Who's going to create that offensive opportunity for Fort Lee? Who has that ability to either draw contact, lead to a penalty kick, possess the ball, have that moment of individual brilliance that leads to the team goal? Again, Fort Lee has the advantage here. Despite being down on the scoreboard, they have more players on the field. They're playing 11 v 10. A red card was just shown a couple of minutes ago to Dwight Morrow. They're just going to be trying to salt away as much time as possible. 9 minutes and counting now left to go in this game. Played forward into the midfield, but again, Fort Lee just not able to get those soft touches to then win back possession. Dwight Morrow, despite being a man down, they continue to venture up the field aggressively and force the turnovers and force Fort Lee into mistakes. Like I said, a misplay out of bounds. Headed backwards. Right to the near side with a push in the back call against Dwight Morrow. Free kick upcoming now for Fort Lee. Trying to get to that one was Lapian, who's coming to the game, number 5 for Fort Lee. Long ball down the far side as there's still player for Fort Lee writhing in pain behind the play. Shinoda's the man down, their star player. Ball is loose up top. As now Dwight Morrow will get to it and the clock will be stopped. Attending to the injury for the Bridgman player down at midfield. So Fort Lee actually had a rare offensive buildup when Shinoda was down on the turf behind the play. And then once Dwight Morrow was able to get to that and settle down, then the clock was eventually stopped. So once again, the training staff will go out to attend to the fallen and hurt Fort Lee player. We'll take the injury timeout as well. 7:27 left to go here in the second half. 2-1 lead for Dwight Morrow. Not a good turn of events there for Fort Lee as one of their stars, Kano Shinoda, is being helped off the field. 7:27 left to go here in regulation. Dwight Morrow 7:27 away from another regular season win here at home, at the home of the Bridgemen. They have not lost here in Fort Lee since 2020. Trying to make it 3 successful trips in a row here to the home of the Bridgemen. So play is resumed after that injury timeout. Fort Lee in need of a goal, down 2-1. Dwight Morrow has been the better team here in this second half. They led 1-0. Fort Lee tied it up to make it 1-1 just before halftime. Dwight Morrow hit a crossbar, had an opportunity with a great save by Alcan, and then eventually produced the go-ahead goal with a header to the upper left-hand corner of the net. Under 7 minutes left to go in regulation. Thanks for joining us again, courtesy of the Fort Lee Athletic Department. Dimitri Nanis producing, Kelly Lane doing all the hard work as the camera operator, and yours truly, Dan Long, just calling the sights and sounds. Play it all the way back, and pressure being extended there by Fort Lee, but it looks like the whistle will go against the Bridgemen. Charles King will settle the free kick. Played wide and out of bounds. Off of Fort Lee. Fort Lee again upcoming. They will continue their homestand. They'll be hosting Ridgefield Park in another American Division showdown on Thursday. So these games mattering so much, again, in the course of so many different parts of their season. Going wide with it to the far side, near that corner flag, trying to keep it in play, but they can't. Fort Lee has that one go out of bounds. Last touch off of the Bridgemen. Loss here tonight would snap their 2-game win streak on the year. Playing out of bounds, so here's Hope Alive. Coming up on the final 5 minutes of the game. Fort Lee needs some possession. Briefly, we're able to win it back courtesy of Kang. Dartley playing it wide to Lappian. He's trying to look for Kaplan up top. Fort Lee losing the 50-50 battle. It's all the way back. Here's some inopportune goaltending right now. That's the chip-in finish, and that'll do it for Dwight Morrow. It was a misplay in the back line. Fort Lee then struggled between their defense and their goalie, and it leads to the tap-in finish on the empty netter. Matthias Albarracin. He was close a couple times to having something also transpire earlier in the half when he was just racing full field sprint to try to really put the pressure on the last defender. And again, if you're going to come out of your goal the way that Alcan did, you have to make your decision. You have to pounce on that loose ball. You can't kind of go in between, because then one little tip is what happened and got past him as he was down on the turf, and just the easiest of tap-ins for number 18 in white. So the sophomore with the insurance goal is now given Dwight Morrow a 3-1 advantage here on the road. They've scored twice here in the second half to take that 3-1 lead as we're closing into the final 4 minutes of action here under the bright lights in Fort Lee. So this result here will make Thursday's game that even more important for Coach Demba Main's side. They were scheduled to play Ridgefield Park earlier this season on September 18th, but that game got canceled. So this is the first time that Fort Lee are going to be seeing the Scarlets this season. They're 3-6-1 on the year, but 2-2 in league play, with both of those league victories coming against this Dwight Morrow side. So Fort Lee about to suffer only their second divisional loss this season. And both those losses coming against the Maroon Raiders of Dwight Morrow. Here's Dartley. A lot of contact. Still playing it forward. Dartley getting up to his feet, trying to get the ball back. A bit of a whiff there on the clearance opportunity for Dwight Morrow. Fort Lee trying to get that second goal to make this back to a one-goal deficit. 2:45 and counting left to go here in the second half. Again, so many great opportunities in the upper edge of the box, but no shot opportunity. The player down in pain way back behind the play for Dwight Morrow. We still continue on. And now it seems like it's going to be a foul whistled against Fort Lee. And a set piece upcoming now for Dwight Morrow. So two Maroon Raider players are down on the turf. Now time is going to be called to stop the clock because there was 2:14 left to go. You had one offensive player, one defensive player. Now both Maroon Raiders have gotten to their feet. It seems to be okay as we're going to be resuming play and getting to the final 2:14 of regulation. As that one is sailed over the crossbar and out of play as we approach the final 2 minutes of regulation. Upcoming on Thursday, we'll have a broadcast doubleheader for you for Fort Lee Athletics. First off, it'll be the girls volleyball team hosting Garfield. At 4:15, we'll have you covered there, and then we'll make the trip over here to the Sugarman Sports Complex later on at night to show Fort Lee taking on Ridgefield Park. So that's a Fort Lee double dip coming up on Thursday. Your exclusive broadcast home for Bridgman Athletics here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. We thank everybody for their constant support of these student athletes from both fine schools and tuning in here today to watch our broadcast. A little more contact going on between the two sides, so Fort Lee going to be falling to 5-6-1 on the season, and Dwight Morrow will improve to 4-5 here this season. As we come up on the final minute of regulation. Played wide. With another whistle, and I believe that is going to be it. As the final whistle sounded, even with 38-7 on the clock, I think the officials wanted to make the most of this opportunity and just have this game be done, as they were keeping some of the time on their clock as well. So Dwight Morrow is victorious by a final score of 3-1. Again, they will beat Fort Lee for the second time this season. Fort Lee will fall to 5-6-1 on the year, while Dwight Morrow will improve to 4-5 overall in 2023. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another edition of Fort Lee Boys Soccer here on the Fort Lee YouTube channel. For Kelly Lane and Dimitri Nanis, I'm Dan Long saying so long, and we'll see you for our doubleheader coverage on Thursday.